We should be going live right now.
All right.
Hey, all right. Great. We're playing with the studio today, and we got a phone system going now, too. We're hoping to get some of you to call in. I think we got it working right. Also got Chris here today.
Hey, guys.
And so if you're just getting here and the first time here, FlipAnythingUSA is a channel, and I wrote a book. My name's Tom. Wake Up and Smell the Real Estate. I've been buying and selling real estate for 39 years. I've been a millionaire for the last 30 years. I made my first purchase at 19. I was a millionaire by 28, and that was 30 years ago. And I've been doing the same thing ever since. And I put it in my book, and a lot of people that will probably join us tonight or be tuning in are people that already have bought the book and or even taken the mentorship class. It was a bestseller on Kindle and Amazon, and of course I remind everybody that every time I'm on the show, you can order it pretty easily. So we're gonna start up here in just a minute. All right. So look, today, earlier when I had a broadcast earlier, I've been running all over the place. I've got, hey Ellie, glad you're here. Hey Ellie, you can you'll be able to call in, or are you up for a call? I got your text earlier, and I've got you in the book, so we can get you on here. Anybody that just finished the mentorship class, if you want to be on, Ron, if you're out there, get on. Ron's made several deals. He's already bought, I don't know if it's 2 or 3, maybe 4 properties. Also, I have another gentleman made $25,000, and I'm not even sure he was in the class, but he just got the book, and he said that he attributes the $25,000 that he made from the book. So that was great. He sent me a copy of the check too, which is pretty cool. So I love hearing about your success. It's almost like I'm reliving it, you know. Oh yeah, when you have a signed deal, that's okay. The adventure's fun too. Chris is going to be on here in a minute too, and let's see, get Chris in here too, maybe, if I can. Chris. Oh, there's Chris, but he's in the wrong spot in the screen. But let's see. All right, there he is.
Hey guys.
Yeah, there he goes. So look, this is Chris, and actually, you know what we'll do? Chris will show the video. This is kind of unique. So,
Oh yeah.
Chris is actually the first person to recognize me in public. You know, I've had a YouTube channel for about 4 years now, and for the first 3 years, I was, pretty relatively unknown, and I hadn't written the book yet, and or I hadn't published the book yet. But Chris recognized me in a Home Depot. And he, came up and approached me, and we started talking. And we actually made a little video. That was like a few years ago, or a couple of years ago at least. And then Chris was also one of the last people to, hey Nacho, to sign on to the mentorship that we just finished up the main portion of the class. It's for a year, but the first month is like a crash course in real estate, and a lot of people that are here, that I can see are here watching and chatting in the chat box, and otherwise are here that just finished it as well. But we're going to talk to Chris about his deal, and in fact, you know what we can do? Let's do this. Let's show. Let me get this video up.
Sure.
Of where it's funny because this is Chris and me like 2 years ago. I didn't know each other, but when we started talking, I was like, "Oh, geez," he told me where he lived. Like, I just bought a house 3 doors down from him.
Right.
I bought 5 in his neighborhood already.
Right.
Yeah. Let's see here.
Your sunglasses gave it away though, Tom.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm a glass man, so this headset's in the way now.
Yeah.
But I wear straps because I lose glasses and they're expensive.
I'll speak to that while you find the video.
Okay.
What was pretty cool, I thought, Tom, he critiques these videos, these other guru real estate people. And I think one thing I love about Tom is his hustle and just watching him make deals. And that's really, I mean, I just love a good deal, be it real estate or a camper or motorcycle, whatever. I like making a deal, finding deals. And I think that's when I saw Tom in the Home Depot, he was actually looking for a piece of pipe or something for one of his houses. And I was like, oh my gosh, he really is the real deal. And that's what actually led me to I'm going to go introduce myself to this guy.
Yeah. Chris, it was interesting. So we ran into each other at Home Depot, and let me put that in the background here. So look, there's video where me and Chris, I swear, he caught me. It was raining, and I forget where I was working, but I was outside. And, because look, I'm a hands-on guy. I mean, I used to take care of everything myself. Now, of course, I have a crew, and I have way more than I can take care of. Even my crew can't take care of everything we have, and we end up subbing out. We're also having a little wine tonight. But anyways, so he caught me off guard, and but we were in the rack. It looks like it was the plumbing aisle, so I vaguely remember. I think I was trying to make an outdoor shower. That's what it was. I'm making an outdoor shower, I think, for my girlfriend or something. I don't know, but that's what it was. And So, anyways, but hey, you know what? So look, you know what? I got the video queued up here. We can watch a little bit of that, and I haven't seen this course in a while. But let's see. This is like
I think I asked
2019, January 2019.
Yeah, I think I asked a question maybe.
Yeah. He was telling me about it. I think he was telling me about the property that you just bought.
Yeah,
it was the Lotto.
I was asking you about short-term
the
rental.
land thing. Yeah.
Yeah. The land thing.
Yeah. All right. So here we go. This is I just turned on my iPad, my iPhone, and we caught this. But this is Chris.
All right, hey, Tom here, Flip Anything. So I've had my first sighting where somebody actually recognized me from the video. This is Chris, and we run into each other at Home Depot, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what I love about this, Tom's watching his videos. I saw him in Home Depot. I was like, hey, is that the guy? It totally is. That is totally Tom.
We can fast forward through that intro, and here we go.
And of course, Tom, I love your videos. Very inspiring for somebody that, like right now, I'm just helping my dad with his rental house, and I'm just putting up some new trim for him so we can get some renters in there and whatnot. Yep. One day I might inherit, that property, and so I'm just trying to keep it up. And anyway, all that to say, more inspiring than your videos is seeing you in Home Depot doing the work that it takes, and you're not just sitting behind a computer making videos and just wondering, like, is this guy really doing this stuff? Like, he's working his butt off. Like, he's out in the pouring rain, and fixing stuff. It's not just flipping stuff, like you're fixing stuff. And so I appreciate that. It's just an inspiration, seeing somebody doing the hard work, making the money, not just talking about the money.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. And so it's funny, because this is the first time anybody's actually recognized it, because you guys know I'm very careful about not letting you know really where I am. Right. A lot of people kind of figured out a little
and
bit.
we still won't.
Yeah, we're still not going to talk about it. But because I for that reason, because like I say, I don't really want guys like Chris competing with me on my deals. But it is a pleasure to meet you. It's a pleasure to run into him. Yeah. But it is very, I appreciate the compliment. Yeah. But it's funny, because I just shot a video just now. That's why I'm wet. We're pouring concrete. You'll see it in the greenhouse video that's coming. But Chris here asked me about land. He's talking about investing in land, and he had some good ideas. He was talking about he's already bought a piece. And what he already recognized right off the bat is that with land comes owner financing, right? That's what you said?
Yeah.
So he's already got a big piece of property he's bought, and he's got it owner finance, and he's talking about taking some more of his money and investing. He's talking about, he had some good ideas, saying, taking this land, he said, all the land looks the same out there, and try to make it look, how do you make it look special? How do you make it pop? Right. He's saying, hey, let's put a gate on it. And what I was telling him, and that's a great idea, what he said, put a gate on it. And because it's like, hey, this is going to be our driveway. You're kind of helping people see the dream or the picture that you see.
Frame.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. And so, and one thing I would do if I had lots like that, I would go out and I would go pound, because they get surveyed generally. You want to make sure you know your boundaries. I always go out there when the surveyor's out there, and I go pound, like, you can pound a PVC pipe or something and cap it and paint it red so that the corners are obvious. Sometimes it's not always obvious. I mean, I was telling him, one of the things I like to do is I like to buy up lots that are that are within a subdivision that's already being developed.
Right.
Because the corners are defined, there's a fence, because there's a fence behind you, next to you.
Right, yeah.
And so, but that's not always the case when you get one that's more spread out or acreage like you're talking. But you go mark those corners, and it just makes it easy for people to see exactly what they got. Right. And then, of course, when they confirm the survey, it makes it easy to confirm.
You'll spend more time on the property.
Yeah, sometimes you got to make it easier for people to see the dream, right? Sometimes you got to mow. You got grass 3 feet tall, and even if it's a commercial lot, I mean, some people can't see through that stuff. I can. I actually was a house that Chris was setting me up with the other day, and he's been bird dogging actually for me too. And I'll be assigning. I told him I'd give him $5,000 if I bought this house that we just looked at, and actually that was kind of an opportunity for Chris to kind of see how I work. And what he did see is he saw that I got that deal. I made the deal probably within 30 minutes. We had the deal done. Wasn't on the market yet.
Yeah, 30 minutes, and I learned so much.
Yes, yeah. I was I'm like, shh, don't do that. Don't do that.
I mean, even some stuff that I've already applied even today when I was making a deal. So
yeah. You got to be slick. And some of this I'm not going to share because this is public, but those of you in the mentorship class, we'll be doing it on the next Zoom meeting. We'll do a detailed meeting. Actually, this Saturday we'll do it. Yeah. So those of you that have just joined the mentorship and those that are already in it, we'll get into that. We're going to share some of those some of the things that just, it's like extra stuff that, I don't even, like I said, everything you need to know to make money in real estate. I'm telling you right now, it's in the book, and I've been doing videos for 3 years for free, or more than that for free. And, but there are little nuances and things, and it's great because it's the questions that come up that get deeper into the details that are important to you. And of course, he can go back and tell you some of the things that happened, and that's also great too. The tire patch. Yeah, copy Josh talking about my tire patch. Yeah, I got a video where I showed how I patched my tires. My little Porsche sports car, those tires are like, I don't know, $375 a piece. They're rubber, and they wear out in like 6,000 miles. They need to be replaced, and they're expensive. And so I patch them because if you ever have a puncture in one of those, the tire companies, people, they don't even want to touch them. They're like, we replace only. And, I've been plugging my own tires and tractors and things ever since I was young. And so I always keep a kit, and I just plug them myself. And anyways, but there's a video. If you want to know how to fix your own flat on the road, watch that video of mine as well. But mostly, making money, making deals is what I really want to show you. But anyhow, let's finish this, and we'll keep talking.
Because they'll dream a little bit. They're like, there's that corner and there's that corner. And they don't drive up and they're curious about I don't really know what's going on.
Right. No, and see, it's funny because I first was buying land with the intent of building. I was building houses. Well, what would happen is by the time I get around to building the house, I realized I could just sell the lot and make 30 grand rather than sell a lot and build a house and make 60.
Right.
In the same time, I could have bought and flipped 3 properties and made 90 instead of 50.
Yeah.
So, anyways, but man, hey, it's a pleasure.
Yeah, buddy.
Thank you very much, and
keep watching.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
This guy's actually he's doing it.
There you go. You got a confirmation. I really am out here doing it. So, anyhow, we'll see you guys later. Thanks.
That's fun.
I hope you enjoyed that video. I enjoyed.
Sorry. They moved my keys around. So anyways, that's where I met Chris the first time. And I hadn't talked to him until it was funny because he signed up. He just signed up. He was the last person to sign up for the class because I said I was closing the doors, and that's what motivated him to jump in. Yeah. And which I'm going to be closing the doors on this next class here pretty soon too. So if you're interested, jump in.
And I would say too, Tom, to some of those people that are watching out there, for me, I don't know if there's some other people out there on YouTube, but I like to watch all the videos. I don't comment hardly at all. Usually don't. And that was the same with a lot of your stuff. I just really enjoyed watching it and seeing you make deals, and I was learning. But, I was being more introvert and just kind of like, all right, I get it. But when I finally took that leap and like, all right, I'll give this mentorship a try. Sure. It's actually getting in the classroom with all those other people and hearing all their questions. And then me being able to ask some of my own, that's when I really started learning.
Yeah, he makes a good point. Look, I'm kind of I'm a self-study person. I've read many books on all kinds of stuff. That if I got to be interested, I can't get through a book. You give me a book I'm not interested in, I won't last 2 minutes. I'll fall asleep. But if it's something about making money or real estate, primarily, I've read probably every book there was that was at least written in the 80s, because that was my passion, and it still is. But I don't read anymore. I just, I absorb a little bit, and I like Ben Malla. He's probably one of the only guys that I do like out there. Not that there aren't other good people, but he's the only one that, I don't know. I just kind of enjoy him. When I hear Ben Malla talk, like I've told you before, I feel like I hear myself. I hear myself giving somebody advice. So let's see. Anybody got any questions? Anybody got anything going? I think we're going to have some call-ins. We can start with a call-in.
Yeah.
You want to check with who's on the phone or who might be ready?
Let's see here.
Yeah, you can, Belmont, go to FlipAnythingUSA.com, go to the mentorship, and you can see the details there. Basically, I do like a 1-month crash course. You got to have the book. You got to have the book. This is your foundation, and then we just expand from there. But I look, I started to say, you can, and even my boys. I got my boys who are 17 years old, and they trade on the stock market. I've opened up accounts, and they've been very successful. They don't play with big money, but they win. They're really more disciplined than me. But it's kind of like real estate. What they're doing, I'm really proud of them, even though it's not real estate. I kind of wish they would follow my lead. They're probably burned out from, I've been dragging them around. They kind of got it by osmosis anyways, all the places I've taken them. But they study a guy named Max, some guy that trades. He trades, stocks. And his Mac out of Oklahoma. And they follow him. They watch him, and they watch all of his videos. They watch all of his videos every single day. And I asked him, I said, hey, well, you want to go meet Mac? I said, I'll make something happen. I'll take you to Oklahoma. I'm just trying to do something special. And they're like, no, Dad, there's really nothing. There's nothing he'd tell us in person that he hasn't already said on camera. And the funny is that's what I tell people here. There's not really, because I get offers all the time for people. Hey, can you personally mentor me? Can we meet for lunch and I'll pay you? And I've had some pretty good offers. But it's like, I don't want the money. My time's more valuable than that. I don't want to do that. And really, I don't even care about the money that much. But the money separates people that are serious about making money and the people that are just like, it's okay to dream and kick the tires. That's okay. Watch all you want. But those people, sometimes I'll get a lot of basic questions in my email. Since the channel kind of blew up, all of a sudden I got hundreds of emails a week. And I'm going through it, and I could go through 300 mails, and I could have, maybe, 2 or 3 questions that were asked different people, but 10 different people asking the same questions, but 3 different questions. And so it's not productive for me to answer a bunch of questions like that for free. So I just tell people, look, go get the book. The book, if you read the book, you won't even ask a lot of basic questions. You'll already know the answers. Because a lot of the questions I get are, they're answered. This takes 3.5 hours to read this book if you read as slow as I do. And I just read this book into the audiobooks. The audiobook's coming out here pretty soon, by the way. And you want both. You probably should get both because, but you don't have to. If you want the bare budget, you don't want to pay me a cent, I don't care. That's fine. I've been doing it free for years. Just listen to the videos like it's a podcast. Just listen to the YouTube videos. Just listen to them, and you'll learn a bunch. And because I do respond to the questions and the things that I see here, and that allows me to go into details and tell stories. Sometimes people, there's an old saying, I've forgotten more than that guy knows. Okay. And when you're young, you don't understand it. But guess what? When you're old, you do. And I can tell you, because I've had people ask me questions, and I'll go, no, I don't think that's never did that before. And then 5 minutes later, I'm like, oh, you know what? That did happen back in 1989 or 1992. You know what I mean? It's like that. It's like that. And then it's really a good story. It's really a good lesson because things don't change. Things really don't change that much.
Tom, you brought up a really good point. There's people out there that just like to dream, and watch and dream and watch and dream. And at some point you got to take the dive, and that could be a very small like toe dip in the water, but at least you're doing something. Or you could just really, throw everything at it. Maybe we could talk about that for a second, because I know for me, I'm so proud of my parents. They, worked so hard to raise me and my sister, and my dad even worked 2 jobs sometimes, and all that.
Cheers.
And so,
to
yeah.
Dad.
And so I love them so much for that. And they set a good example of hard work ethic,
Yeah.
but they also were very conservative in that they never took risks.
Sure.
And it was always just like, we're going to do what we're told. And that is, you get the mortgage, you pay the mortgage, you pay the mortgage, you pay the mortgage, you pay the mortgage. There's no other way to do it,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I think there's some of us maybe out there that have a dream of doing real estate someday, but it's kind of like, oh man, where do I even start? And I found myself driving around for 4 or 5 hours last week, just looking for deals, looking for, for sale by owner signs, that kind of stuff we talk about in the book. And I learned so much just by doing some of that work. Not that I made a deal. Actually, I started one today, which is pretty exciting. But it's doing that work. It's getting started. And so I think that that's something for your audience, is like, you do a really great job laying out the path,
Right.
but you're not going to walk it for them.
Yeah, and so what Chris is saying, look, I don't like to be harsh, really. I mean, sometimes I do, okay, but sometimes I'm a jerk. But in general, I understand the fears in the beginning and the starting, and look, my dad was very much like what you're talking about. He's a procrastinator, and my dad was super smart guy. I mean, just a brilliant mechanical brain, and he knew a lot about everything. He really did, but he was not a businessman. He was not. He could be taken advantage of. In fact, he got burned for $20,000 back in the '80s when it was a lot of money, and and I don't, and probably that's one of the reasons I got a chip on my shoulder for people that take advantage of people, with their hopes and dreams, because that's kind of what my dad fell into. He got screwed by this outfit called Elite Car Wash or some damn thing like that. This is a long time one. Encino Elite. It was out of Los Angeles. Encino Elite, and in fact, my stepmother was so tired of him procrastinating because he cut the tires, but said they were going to do it. They're going to do it, but tomorrow. She wrote the check. The check was gone. They never saw him again, and they got burned. It was a lot of money. It was terrible, but it's okay to kick the tires. But if you're going to kick the tires, you're not going to be able to ask me a bunch of beginner questions all the time. I'm just not going to do it. So that's why I say get the book. When somebody asks me, because believe me, some people are very lazy. They watch the video and they say, hey, can I buy you lunch? I'll give you $1,000 if you just spend the day with me and talk to me for an hour or two. And it's like, it ain't going to matter. I've already done it. Just watch the videos. The book, listen, I wrote this book. When I wrote this book, and I even made the YouTube channel, I made it so that my boys and my girls, I have 4 kids, I wanted them to have kind of a roadmap to follow, to make money in real estate, to understand what I do. And believe me, one of the things I used to do, I got a 25-year-old daughter, and every time I'd buy a house or a building or a property of any kind, our deal was we'd run over there and I'd spin her around, like, hold her hands and spin her around in every bedroom in the house. I started to get so much property at times. I was like, it's getting old, and she's getting big. So, but that was kind of one of the fun things that we do. And, I don't ever want to squash anyone's dreams. Not everybody has the same tolerance for objectivity and for, what I call the devil's advocate. Because I tell people, hey, look what I'm doing. And then it's like, these are people I respect and people that are successful. And I say, pick it apart. Why not? And I'm fierce. I'll tear their dreams down because that's the game. And that's but not everybody's built for that. Some people need a little more nurturing. And so the people that need more nurturing, what I say to you is, it's okay. It's okay to move slowly. And it's okay to take your time and warm up to it. And just, go a little, just go at your own pace. That's fine.
You know,
That's what the book lets you do. That's what the book lets you do. But there's some people that are hungry and they're passionate and they want to make money and they got a taste for it. And believe me, it's like, they say, you get a dog that gets a taste of blood, they'll kill everything in the yard that's smaller than them because they got the taste of blood. And that's kind of how the passion for real estate is. I want to make another deal. I want to make another deal.
Yeah, and I think it's great you brought that up because, again, just watching your videos, I was like, I think Tom and I have something in common. Like, I like to make deals. I don't care whether it's a house, a bicycle, I don't care what it is. And I've kind of always been that way, just trying to find the angle on the deal. And I just remembered this, but it was even during your, I forget what you're showing something, but you're like, hey, it's not all about real estate. It doesn't have to be if that's not where you want to start.
Sure.
And so I was browsing Craigslist for a camper. My buddy and I were going to go out to a national park, and we were going to spend the weekend, do some hiking. And instead of spending bukus of money on an Airbnb or a hotel or something like that, it's like, maybe I could buy a camper, use it for the trip, sell it when I get back, and maybe even make some money.
Sure.
So sure enough, and it's kind of just like real estate, right? But you start looking at stuff long enough, and it kind of starts to look Matrix-like in the sense of like, you don't really see the doorknob or the door or anything. You just see value.
Right.
And you know the value. And when I saw this camper, I was like, oh my gosh, they only want $400 for this thing? This thing's an antique.
Yeah.
Like this is literally, I think it was a 1970, you can look this up.
Like an Airstream or something?
No, it was a 1970, it was called a Camel, a pop-up canvas, like the heavy-duty canvas army tent.
Yeah.
And I went over there, checked it out, and I said, I mean, the wheel bearings had to be replaced and stuff, which I could do. But I was like, would you take $200? And she was like, sure.
Yeah, nice.
And I was like, could you tell me the story on it? She goes, oh, it's been in the garage for 40 years.
Wow.
And so sure enough, we took it out to the national park. We brought it back. I sold that thing for $1,500.
Yeah. And you got a ride out of it. You got to take it for a day.
It was fun. Yeah. And that's when I think that's really when my family was kind of like, so you can do that with this. Like, what else can you use that same mindset with? And that's when I really got turned on to real estate.
That's good. And, like I say, everybody gets turned on to, I mean, it just feels good to be rewarded for being right, for being smart. And, again, like I always tell everybody, you got to be able to find it within yourself to work by yourself. I think it's the best thing anyways. It's all I know. I pull up to a house, my wife would say, why are you stopping here? And I go, oh, we own this. She said, no. Did it with buildings, all kinds of stuff. She said, no. It just doesn't have any interest in it. And to be honest, I don't want to talk about my day necessarily, about what I bought and what I did that day. So, anyhow, let's go to some of the questions we got here. Got Josh. Josh found me from John Sonmez. Also, that's interesting. There's a nice video. John Sonmez, great guy. He's got a thing called Bulldog Mindset, and he's actually about building confidence and that sort of thing. And I forget how I crossed paths with him, but anyways, we're friends. Him and another guy that owns 2,000 books, Manny, they came out here to Austin and asked me if I would show them around. They were very interested in the real estate, and I took them for a nice tour. And that I got a video of that, or actually he shot a video of that as well. And but anyhow, John's had me on a show a couple times. But it was really cool is when he came in and I gave him a tour of my properties that I had in the immediate area. And anyhow, that's what Copy Josh said. That's where he found me. Oh, good, man. I'm glad you're in the class. That's great. Okay, Charles Pons. I bought my first house, primary residence, in February. I owe $92,000, but think I can sell it for at least $135, but don't have any cash besides the equity. Are you living in that house, Charles, or is it just a rental house?
He says primary residence, so.
Oh, did you? I missed that. So, look, if it's your primary residence, you need to weigh out whether you, so you got to weigh out, listen, the deal with real estate is, I mean, in general, you got to have two, one to live in, one to flip and roll and sell. And I can tell you, I went through 5 houses before I lived in the fifth one. I lived in the fifth one. but I was living in my building. I take it back. I was living in my house. My house was a retail industrial building, as you guys have seen before, because I moved into the building. I bought the building for my company, but I moved into it to struggle to save the money. I mean, I just cut my overhead. I didn't have a girlfriend. I didn't have kids. And so I just moved into the building and saved money. I was on a mission. I wanted to buy that damn thing. You got a grant, so you only spent $1,250. I see. To get, I don't know. So, well, Charles, the deal is if you can pull $40,000 out of there and justify living somewhere that's comparable to where you live for the same or less, then that would be a good move. Sell it, move in to your, rent a place, get a good deal on a rental. You guys you'll see. I rented a building for $3,000 a month, and I re-rented it, or you could say subletted it, re-rented it for $20,000, and then $25,000. And on average, I made about $200,000 to $240,000 a year for 7 years.
Wow.
And it was a rental. It wasn't even mine. And I made over $1 million.
And of course, like the landlord, they were aware of that, or no?
Yeah, no, they were. Yeah, they were. They were.
I mean, they were getting what they asked for.
Let me put it this way: I put in there, I need to have the right to sublet. They agreed.
Yeah,
and that's what I did.
That's in the contract.
Yeah, it was in the deal, and I stretched that lease as far and as long as I could. So it was a great way to make money without even owning. And a lot of people are doing the same thing now with Airbnb. I bought a house I had a house on Ocean Drive in Oxnard, or California. It's like between Ventura and wherever somewhere, Malibu. And anyways, that property, and it's one I tied up for 6 months, lived in it, used it, and then flipped it and made money. But I should have bought in Hermosa, Manhattan Beach area, because that's the area that I like better. I just didn't know any better at the time. I was young. I was 28. I just sold my company, and I was done. I was just full-time investor at that point. But yeah, I believe Airbnbs are in trouble. Well, I'll give you an example. Like, I usually rent a house in Manhattan Beach for, I don't know, $6,000-7,000 a week. And I just take it for a week every year. Different places, but like really cool, view of the sand. And it's not on the sand. I don't really want to be on the boardwalk, too much noise, but it's back off a little bit where I can look down a side street. But we, the kids and I, we walk down. I taught my kids how to ride a bike on the beach, on the boardwalk there. That's where they learned how to ride their bicycles. And my boys skateboard, and I skateboard. I took up skateboarding when I was 50. And I quit when I was 52 because I said, I'm gonna kill myself. But back to the Airbnbs. Well, the Airbnbs were okay, but now Manhattan Beach has said no more Airbnbs. And so people that bought in there with the expectation of getting that, whatever, $30,000 a month by doing it right, renting every week and keeping it full, they can no longer get those returns. And I got a feeling some of them overpaid.
Well, and I'm also curious, Josh, if you're maybe even more talking about with COVID going on, mentioning the Airbnbs are in trouble, if that's what you're talking about. Because I do have some people that are also doing short-term rentals like myself, and some people are really hurting in that market.
Oh, are they? In the Airbnbs?
Yeah, some people, I'm not. I'm doing actually incredibly well. But
it may be the style of Airbnb that Chris has. Chris has one that's kind of remote in the country where a lot of people would like to go. Yeah, the Strand, man. Love the Strand. But but Airbnbs at the beach right now, not so popular because they said you can't go. In fact, I had one rented this year. A couple months ago, and I was kind of pissed off because my kids were saying, "Oh, we don't want to get COVID." And, oh, God dang it, I said it. That kills your YouTube. Anyways.
Oh, jeez.
But the bottom line is, listen, if you can be shoulder to shoulder and ride, if you can be shoulder to shoulder in an airplane and fly in, you can certainly be on the beach 100 feet away from each other. And guess what? You can be. I went down there. I had a great time. And, the cops don't care. The cops don't care. They're sick of what's going on out there. Yeah. It's silly. It's just arbitrary and discriminatory to say it's okay to be close here but not there out on the beach. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But I'll get off that tangent and talk.
Jose says, saw Ben Mall's last episode. he mentioned he's too afraid to invest right now, and I feel the same way. Deals just don't make sense here in Phoenix, and experience buying in Phoenix, Tom.
No, but a friend of mine, he made $7 million on a deal in Phoenix. So
wow. I know that here in Phoenix, almost everyone sold their Airbnb.
Yeah, this was a large land. Oh, really?
Wow. But location matters. Are you doing anything different since March? Honestly, no, I'm not doing anything different since March, except providing the best experience I can for my guests.
Yeah,
they're my number one, my cleaning ladies, my number two. So, other way around, she's my number one, and just make sure that they know they're coming into a clean environment. We actually list out, we tell them, hey, here's how we clean, here's what we do. I even provide them their own complimentary bottle of hand sanitizer, and I give them access to all the cleaning supplies. So if they want to do an extra clean on anything,
do you put soap in the bathrooms?
Yeah, but it's all it's almost like a boutique hotel. It's got a sticker over the soap. I buy in bulk. And
what kind of product?
It's just it's the small kind of
anything good, or is it just
it's like a
cheap
tea tree kind of shampoo.
Okay,
or whatever.
yeah, as long as it's good. I can tell you, I'm always impressed, and I've always been surprised when either my kids or something, they go, oh, they got Aveda products, which I guess are nice shampoo and air
well,
conditioning.
and when people say stuff like that, that's the mentality, and that's what I've run with my Airbnb that I think's made a huge difference, even with my competition in my area, is I always put myself in the guest's shoes, and I think, what would make them say, wow, they really thought about that, or wow, they really took the time to think about me as the guest. So, for example, I told my house cleaner, I said, look, and the first time we ever met, I said, look, I'm going to ask you to do some pretty ridiculous things. One of them, I said, I know this might sound over the top, but whenever you put the toilet paper on the wall there, I want you to make the triangle fold. Yeah. And I can't tell you how many guests have said, oh my gosh, like, we're out here in the country and like you actually took the time to fold the toilet paper. I'm like, oh, I didn't, but and it's stuff like that. So
do you ever sneak in there and put chocolates on the pillows too?
No, it's funny you asked that, but I actually, again, it's all about offering the experience. And so if somebody has a birthday, I ask them, I say, hey, what's your favorite beverage? Do you have a favorite wine or whatever? Yeah. And when you're making $800 on a weekend off of rental income, I'm going to buy them a bottle of wine.
Yeah, no. And that's good. And to what Chris's point, I can tell you many times when I sell a home, particularly to somebody that's like in my own neighborhood, I always send over a gift basket. And if they like wine, then there's always going to be a good bottle of wine. I find out if they like red or white or whatever they like. And, hey, man, glad you like the book, Bishop. But it's going the extra mile. And that's really, I have that same mentality. And, I try hard to help everybody make money, even for free. I do it. I don't care. I've been doing it for years. But because you want it to be a good experience. I don't want anybody to be turned off of real estate because of something I did. Right. But I want to make sure you're prepared and ready to do what you got to do to make money. It's important.
I think if you're, and Tom, please disagree. I know you will. But I think people that are in it just for the money, I'm going to make lots and lots of money. Personally, I don't think you're going to last. I think you're going to burn out. I think passion.
Oh, you mean as a author or a teacher, or what do you mean?
Yeah, just as a real estate investor. I think if you're in it just purely for the money.
Yeah, that wouldn't be much fun. But look, I have been somebody that has been very protective. Everybody knows. I tell you, my book, everything. These are my secrets. Okay, these are my secrets. The only reason I'm sharing them is because I'm rich. Okay, it wouldn't have happened before then. It wouldn't. And I tell people. I was telling Cornelia, what's his name? I forgot his name. Yeah. But Cornelia, I don't know something. I just did sorry, I forgot your name. I'm getting old. But I just did a review on a review he did on Chris Crone, and I did a review on a review that he did on somebody else. I can't remember. Just yesterday. Yeah. But I've been busy.
Manny
Koshman. Yeah.
But what I was getting at is, in my opinion, and especially even where I'm at with my Airbnb, I'm making, again, percentage wise, I'm making more than a lot of people.
Right.
A lot of people.
Well, you share the wealth.
But it's not, in the grand scheme of things, it's not a ton of money.
Yeah.
But percentage-wise, like it's twice the mortgage almost every month. And I'm like, okay, this is really working. However, what I'm passionate about is helping people make memories and have the best experience with their family and friends.
That's great advice.
You know?
Yeah.
And because that's what I would want as a consumer, as a client, as a guest. So anyway, Josh, I do not advise the sublet style hack of, so basically, Tom, so this is really interesting. A lot of Airbnb hosts, kind of like what you were talking about.
Yeah.
is
I know
the
what you're
host.
talking about now. Yeah.
Oh man, it got really messy. So
You mean they rent the unit and then they re-rent the unit?
Well, yeah, but they would do it in full, like they'd go into a condo or a apartment complex even, and they would rent like 20 rooms and they turn them all into individual Airbnbs. And so they're subletting them.
But what's wrong with that? I like that model, actually.
I don't like it because I don't get to completely control the property. I don't get to make the necessary changes if I see there needs to be necessary changes.
But on an individual unit, if you run each unit, you have the power to go in there and fold the toilet paper and do those things.
Yeah, just not my style, I guess.
I
don't like the idea that I'm first of all I'm renting. You know?
Yeah, and I get it, but I wouldn't knock it. And believe me, it's not what I want to do either. It's not what I want to do. But I mean, I did it I was doing it with a 26,000 square foot building.
Right.
It's different. But I don't knock what anybody does. Even there's a guy, Flipman, he interviewed me and I interviewed him. I like him. He's actually, his channel's blown up quite a bit. He would make a deal to buy somebody's place that has somebody in it that hasn't paid their rent, and then he's making a deal with somebody to buy it, and then he's got to bring somebody in there and show it. I'm telling you. And so, not my style, not what I want to do, but he's done it. You know what I mean? Yep. And you know what? You do what you got to do to make money. You do what you got to do.
Yeah, and there's YouTubers and guys out there that'll, they've showed you how literally they've made their millions doing the sublet Airbnb model. But I think when COVID hit and things got really messy with Airbnb, like really messy because, well, I won't go into all that, but they were in big trouble.
Yeah. Well, I mean, COVID knocked everybody on their butt, and the Band-Aids worn off, and things are going to happen. Let's see if we can get somebody on the phone here. Yeah. Can you check that?
Okay.
And we're going to find out if this phone system works, so bear with us. In fact, if somebody wants right now, anybody here watching, just call if you want to talk, if you got a deal you want to talk about. I want to see if we can get Anne-Marie on here.
Yeah.
Or Ron, if you're watching.
I'm holding the phone, so they just got to call.
Oh, but did you text?
I did text him, yeah.
Okay, good.
So we'll see. Anyway, interesting enough, though, Tom, while we're waiting to see if somebody calls, going back to the Home Depot video, I was talking about this idea I had a couple years ago, and it's still something I might want to do, but it's the idea of, you buy a big plot of land, you subdivide it, and you put some nice-looking gate entrances and kind of paint a picture frame for people. Sure. Well, I found myself on the other end of that deal today. Oh. Somebody actually bought, $400,000 commercial property. They got it rezoned to residential, split it up into lots, but it's kind of in the same location, more or less, of my Airbnb, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, oof.
So you're gonna get one of those.
So I want to, and I put an offer in today. We're gonna see what they have to say.
Oh, okay. So that's interesting. So just to give you, I'll give you a week in my life here. Okay. Today, it really, it's funny. I could write a book. Just off the texts that are in my phone. But one of the things he's talking about, and I got a message. Crap, Tom, I left your check on my computer. Requesting information on your house. We'll take it. And then they want some assurances on the lease and whether they can do certain things. They said, so will you guarantee? And I wrote no. Earlier today, one of my, a really good tenant of mine called me up and we started talking about something. It was unrelated way he called. And I said, hey, by the way, I just spent $7,500 on an air conditioner and you're going to have to pay for half of that. And he says, well, I got some push because I as of a couple months ago, or not even that, maybe a month or two ago, I hired a full-time in-house property manager, so I don't have to do as much of it anymore. And I'm talking about just handling the calls and renewing the leases. And so, but this guy called me, and he's already been dealing with my property manager, and he says, well, I got some pushback on that about the $7,500 air conditioner I just put in. And I said, well, look, I said, I replaced it because it needed to be replaced. I said I could repair it. And he says, well, I got some pushback on that. He goes, because that unit's 10 years old. I said, yeah, I know. You've been there 10 years. You've wore it out, okay? And says, oh, yeah. And this is a great tenant. He's a good friend, too. I mean, he's become a friend. I didn't know until they moved in. But very successful company. He and his wife's a real go-getter. And anyways, he gets it. And also he has a really good deal on his rent. I make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year on his account, but it could be even more. I give him I give him a really good deal, but it's okay. Like I say, it's not all about money. I want my life to be easy, and I can afford to rent to people under market. And then that way, when COVID hits and things like that, they can bear it. They can hunker down and they can deal with the storm for the most part. And like right now, like somebody wrote here, Ben Mull is getting nervous about buying real estate. Well, I understand, because what he's seeing, he's got a 50,000 square foot gym closed on him. That alone is a killer, and he's got, 800 employees at his hotel. Now he's getting checks to cover them because we all got money. If we had employees, we got money for some of that stuff from the government. We became the unemployment office. But nevertheless, when you see, it just isn't, I'm like, hey, go sign leases, go get things, let's get everybody renewed. Because when you see those empty spaces in your town and you have buildings just like those, okay, you're going, ooh, that would be a great place for one of my other tenants. And so you start to get nervous. So Jose wrote, what kind of deal did your friend for $7 million in Phoenix do? I don't know all the specific details, but basically what they did is they got a piece of land to buy, I think, for $750,000. No, maybe it was $1 million, and they put $50,000 or $100,000 down, and then they spent $100,000. They got a long escrow. They made the $50,000 like non-refundable at some point. But they spent another $100,000 on engineering and going back and getting it rezoned. But it was a very large plat of property, a very, very large plat of land. And they might have done a master development on it, but they didn't spend but $100,000 to $250,000 on the whole thing. I mean, before they owned it. I mean, that's what they had to put out in, rezoning and that sort of thing, But when it was done, by the time they wrapped that up, they flipped the thing for like $8 million, and they made $7 million. Yeah, it was a big deal. I mean, it might have only been 200 acres, actually. It might have only been 200 acres. Now that I don't remember all the details. And I'll have him on the as a guest on here sometime, and maybe he'll talk about it. Maybe he won't.
Do you more often see property rezoned from commercial to residential or residential to commercial?
Say that again.
Do you more often see property rezoned from commercial to residential or residential to commercial, or is it?
That's an interesting point, and I did a video on that. So one of the things I've done, sometimes I buy houses that are on kind of like 4-lane roads, and I think, you know what, I'll rezone those commercial, and I've rezoned some commercial, and they've been fantastic. In fact, the tenant I was just talking about with the $7,500 air conditioner, it was an acre on a corner of a very busy street. I built a 16,000 square foot building, and I rezoned the property as well, and it's been a very nice cash cow for many, many years now. And after I did that, many of the other properties just down the street from it that were houses that I owned, well, in 10 years, the residential real estate was now selling for $300 to $350 per foot. Well, when I bought these properties, I was buying them for less than $100 a foot, less than $70 a foot. Okay. And so it made sense to make them commercial, because if I made them commercial, I'd get $1.50 a foot. I mean, $150 a foot, or I'd get $1.50 a foot renting them. Well, today I can get maybe $2 to $2.25 I can get $2.25 per foot per month when I rent it. Well, and to sell it, that means I'm only going to be able to sell it for about $225 a foot to sell it as retail, but it's not retail. So it was worth for me to just let it stay residential, and I sold the properties for about $300 a foot. In other words, residential property has the potential to go far beyond the value of commercial. Commercial property is, and this is one of the things you'll learn from me and in my book, is residential property is emotional. It's an emotional purchase. People buy there for location, for schools, for being near family, and that sort of thing. Well, emotion that has no consistency or no connection to income, the income approach. It's not the income approach, it's the emotional approach. Where commercial property is just based on a per foot. What can I rent it for? The value of it is based on what it rents for. Residential property is based on whoever the highest bidder is, and that's why it can bid through the roof. And that's why he was talking about, he's getting into this development, and the guy that he's talking about rezoned a commercial property into a residential property, right? Mm-hmm. Totally get it. I totally get it. And where I did kind of the opposite, I did some of my properties, I rezoned from residential to commercial, but in the same span over the last 10 years, the ones that I didn't rezone to commercial are now worth more per foot than they would be if I did. So that's all. Let's see. In New York City, all the office high-rises are empty because of this Corona BS. I think they're going to convert them into residential condos. That I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it. There's a couple things that I've come away with. Some people, like I realize, with COVID, the way things kind of, I think, I can just retire. I'm just going to retire. I mean, I could retire anytime anyways, but when I say retire, that doesn't mean quit buying real estate. I'll never give up buying real estate. I love that. But, I do other stuff. I've made apps and I've done a bunch of stuff, and I enjoy doing this. And when I don't enjoy doing this, I'll stop doing this. But where I was going with that was with the
condos.
With the condos and we don't know, because like I had an engineer, a lot of times if I do anything structural, I have an engineer come out and look at things, and I had an engineer that's done stuff for me for many years, and met him out, and I said, hey, what's happened? He says, not much, and we got to talking, and he said, Dad, we're giving up our office. And I said, really? And he said, yeah, we're going to give up the office. He goes, me and my partners, we decided we don't need to meet. We don't need to converge together anymore in a room or at one place. So we're all going to work just from our homes independently. And that works for them as engineers. Other people that are finding that they have their employees working remotely, well, they're finding out their productivity is crap. They're not any good. And so they're like, no, I'm not giving up my office. I want to keep an eye on these people.
Especially when you got kids at home.
Oh, God. Yeah, no, it's a nightmare.
My wife works full-time. I work full-time. We've got 2 kids under 3.
Yeah, believe me, I know people that are like just crying and dying because their kids can't go to school. They want their kids to go to school. So they go have a life outside of, listen, some people just don't have the patience for it. And some people need to go make money. I mean, really, the way things are today, most husband and wives got to work to make a living. And, it's not the 50s where, dad goes to work and mom stays home. It's not like that anymore. It's too expensive. So what else? Did you get Anne-Marie? Are we going to have a phone call?
No, I didn't. No phone calls. I mean, you can check this, but I didn't see anything on there.
Well, yeah. And we got a crazy Android phone that I don't normally use. All right, let's see. Anyways. Okay, let's try this
one. Today, Tom, I was, I kind of put in some practice, some things that you've taught me, but it's the idea of kind of asking what else you got for sale.
Yep.
That mentality, and I think this is really important for those who are watching, and a reminder for those in the mentorship. But so I found a property that I was really interested in. I drove by it.
Right.
And I was like, okay, I need to figure out who owns that. And you talk about in your book how to go find that out.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go find out who owns that property, and I'm going to contact them and, just see if they're willing to sell it, whatever. Well, I contact the wrong person. A couple doors down. I called the wrong person. I was like, hey, do you own the such and such building and whatnot? And he goes, oh, no. He said, I'm 76 years old, and that's a couple of houses down from me. Well, come to find out, we're just talking, and I said, and he mentioned something about all I've got is 5 acres, kind of out in the country. Mm-hmm. I was like, tell me more, right. And he's like, oh, I got some goats out there, and my dog and we go out there every day. Yeah. And I said, well, you wouldn't be interested in selling that, would you? He goes, no, not right now. Yeah. Maybe later. Yeah. And I said, great. I said, I'd really be interested in that. Could you just keep my name and my phone number? I didn't even want to call this guy. I called the wrong person, but I told him why I was calling, and we kind of started talking about real estate and land, and I kept in my mind what you always say is like, kind of if you find something that maybe doesn't fit the bill quite, it's like, well, what else you got for sale?
Yeah, absolutely. Always ask what else you got.
Yeah. So.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. All right, we got some questions rolling in. It looks like a bunch. Let's see.
Yeah. Okay. Let's start with something here. Okay. Do you think the moratorium on evictions will end this year? Yes. I think they're being. I mean, listen. It's an election year. Everybody's going to just do anything they can to make everybody happy and not look like a bad guy, no matter what. And so, no, they're not going to. I mean. At some point, they can stop the evictions, but they're also giving people aid to pay their rent. So at some point, it's going to be you use the aid to pay your rent or not. And if you don't, then you're going to be evicted. Or, the bank, what I kind of think is they're going to have some short sales. If values drop on the houses, and I don't know that they will. I mean, the only thing I know is I don't know. But, the economy's been extremely strong. We're having a huge resurgence. I mean, like I said, we got cut down with COVID. It wasn't a financial disaster. We're still really strong. And so it's coming back really strong right now. So I think it's just going to be a little dip. But, people's confidence gets shooken by a lot of different things. But like Ben said, when I see buildings that are empty, I get nervous. He's been rattled to the core because he's got a bunch of empty hotels. Okay, Alex... at this point, I'm flipping land. What's your advice to transition to building and to potentially making bigger profits, building, developing actual property on that land? Well, it's a great question. I made an offer today. If you guys were watching me earlier today, you realize I go, oh, crap. I had a real estate agent that understood I was to meet him 45 minutes before I'd looked at my phone. He goes, I've been waiting here 45 minutes. What's up? And I go, I thought we understood differently. And so I cut it short. I ran 10 minutes here, and then I ran out and I met him. And we had a good call. We had a good conversation. And anyways, I said, write it up. And I made an offer. It was over $1 million. And hopefully I'll have a signed agreement tomorrow. That's what I'm crossing my fingers for. And believe it or not, I know that I'm up against another agreement where they're offering more than me. But this is the difference. I'm closing before the elections. I'm closing before the end of the year. And the other offer is closing after the elections. And I said, I can tell you right now, your seller should be concerned about this other offer because they're going to buy dependent on who gets elected. They're basing this decision on who gets elected. And I'm buying it. I don't care. I mean, I do care, but I won't talk about that. But I'm going to buy it regardless. But again, it goes to the land. And in this situation, there's way more land than there is building. I can build out. I can keep adding and adding. And this is a commercial type property. And my intention is to go in and fix up what's there. And then I'll have a civil engineer come in and we'll lay it out and we'll plat it with buildings, and I'll figure out what the optimal size is, and maybe I'll condoize it and just sell buildings within the condo complex of, commercial real estate or office buildings, office suites, or I'll build something else. I don't know what I'm going to build exactly, but I'm going to build something. And I'll probably just rent it all and just keep it all because that's kind of more my style. But that's one. And then, like I can tell you right now, I have another deal going right now. It's kind of an unusual deal. So I'm going to use my book as a size reference, okay? This is a corner. So I got a street here and a street here. And this is only 120 feet deep. This is about 300 feet, maybe a little more than that. Let me think about that. It's probably 400 feet. Yeah, it's probably, actually, it's about 360 feet. It's just under an acre. So if it's a 120 by, so it's just under, 42,000 square feet, I think. Well, the problem with this property is this is a thoroughfare here, a major thoroughfare running this way, okay? This way, it's kind of like they don't need to go this far. When you go in here, there's not much back here. Go back here, there's the neighborhoods and things. But so the challenge is putting a building that faces the traffic. And one of the criteria I have is I want to make sure that I have ingress and egress here to this main street. I don't care about having ingress and egress to this street because this street is kind of dead. And the traffic travels here and it comes this way. And the traffic that comes this way, I want them to be able to pull right in. So again, these are the kind of things you got to weigh out when you develop or you got to look. Like I say, you guys all know I talk about it all the time, the going home side of the road versus the going to work side of the road. And the going home side of the road is usually the much better side. There's much more opportunities and versatility and reasons where people have time to stop on the way home, like a bar. You don't really want to make a left turn and try to cross traffic that's heading home. It's just too hard to turn left. You may never get through unless there's a signal light, and that's how it is in a lot of places. But if you're just pulling over to the right, have an old fashioned or a glass of wine on your way home, it's easy to do, and so that's what you do.
What about with Alex's question though? He could build a metal building on there. He could do brick and mortar. I don't know if it's residential or not, Alex, but Tom, I know you've said before even like you don't like to build houses anymore. Like there's just too much involved in that because you can just flip the land and flip a couple lots and make more money doing that, and it's easier.
Yeah, it depends. It's a rough one. Sometimes you'd rather do a concrete tilt-up in a nice, pretty industrial park. You can do a pretty clean-looking metal building, and that's fine too. But you just kind of have to make the best call. It's cheaper and easier to put up a metal building. I invest. I don't tell everybody where I invest, but I can tell you it's the same in every city. There's the same opportunities in every city all the time. But I do invest in Texas and California and Idaho. All right. So look, I am going to attempt to call Anne Marie here, and let's see. Hopefully this will work. Golly, I wish I knew something more about this phone, but we'll try it. Can you guys hear that?
I hear it.
Hello.
Hi, Anne Marie.
Yes. Hi. How are you?
Hey, very good. As you know, this is Tom. So I texted Anne Marie. She was trying to get in early. I noticed you called earlier, but I didn't recognize your number because it was on the other phone. But anyways.
Yeah.
So
I spoke earlier.
Yeah. So Anne Marie was just finished the mentorship. She's still. When you take my mentorship, you're in for a year. Anyways.
Okay.
Yeah, and
yes,
I'm
yes.
you're on. I've got you on the YouTube thing, right? You understand that?
Yes.
Okay, and
Yes.
millions of people are listening to you, or maybe 50. But anyways, but Anne Marie's great. You know what I really liked about Anne Marie is when I do the Zoom meetings, and Anne Marie would be doing the Zoom meeting with her iPhone. So is Keith. I see Keith is here. Glad you're here, Keith. But she's always working, right? She's working.
I am.
Yeah, she's
I am always.
She's making that money.
Yeah. She's always working. And I mean, and I love a multitasker. I'm the same way. And yeah.
That's my skill, multitasking. I do a lot of multitasking.
Yep. That's awesome. Well, I've seen it because I sit there and watched you. I watched, when because I can see all the faces, right? I mean, I'm looking at a screen full of faces, and I'd see, of course, Anne Marie's one of the only ones that has a mask on because she's at work. But,
yes.
But anyways, Anne Marie, do you feel like you did you get your money's worth? Do you feel like you learned something? You enjoyed it?
I have. And again, the book is excellent. I mean, the book, all you need, as you said, is the book. Because if I ever run into, a problem or a question, I go to your book and it explains exactly what to do. So
yeah.
A lot of times, instead of calling or trying to ask questions, I just go to the book and find the chapter and read it and get my answer right there.
Yeah, that's great.
I think it's the book. The book gives you everything you need.
Yeah, and I tell people that you do. Look, there's no pressure. I tell you, look, the book. If you're going to get ripped off by somebody, in a class or something, it'll be hundreds or tens of hundreds or thousands of tens of thousands of dollars. Happens all the time. So get my book because worst case you lose $10. It's nothing. And Anne Marie went the extra step and she took the mentorship class. How do you feel about the class? That was $600.
Oh, that was more material than I ever covered going to Grant Cardone. I can tell you that much. He didn't give us anything more than these celebrities talking about, what they did and how much money they have. But he didn't tell us how we could make money. He told us what they had. And I spend way more money going there than I did with your. And I'm getting a lot more from your mentorship versus wasting all money going to Las Vegas to watch Grant Cardone talk about his wealth.
Yeah.
And being able to help,
Yeah, somebody else made that observation. The guy that did a video review of my property said every day, he said, get Tom's book. He goes, because every day on Tom's videos, he teaches you something. He goes, every day on Grant Cardone's videos, he asks for your money. And it's true. It's true. And I can tell you, I watched Grant Cardone do math, and I'm like, what on earth is he? He doesn't. I'm like, that doesn't add up. So, anyways.
I wish I'd figured you out before I wasted all that money with airplane tickets and all that hotel and spending all that money for that, VIP seat for no reason.
Oh, geez.
Oh, yeah. See, that's what I tell everybody is don't waste your seed capital. And Anne Marie, I asked her, I said, well, do you feel like a student or a victim? She said, I feel like a victim, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And believe me, I had no idea what even Anne Marie was going to say, but yeah, I'm sorry you feel like you got ripped off, and but I know you study and I know you work hard, but that's the thing is if you've got enough cash to fly across the country, get a hotel, pay to go to an event like she just described with Grant Cardone, listen, don't do it. That's cash. That's a lot of money.
It's enough money.
It sounds like you spent several $1,000s, right?
I had the VIP seat, so I was right, a little close to, the stage, but it was just, I got nothing from it. Absolutely nothing.
Mm. And did you say?
And not only that, I wasted all this money buying his merchandise too, So that was another waste of money too.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry. And you're not alone. And I'm just saying, the grant's just one. I mean, I've heard the same thing about Than Merrill's seminars, and people have also written in and, said they go into the free seminar, and then they've been, people were separating them and asking them for, whatever, tens of thousands of dollars. Basically, if you got 40,000, go over here. If you got 20,000, go over here. And, they just keep working the room.
And I went to the guy on Shark Tank too, the one that does the investor guy there. He's on Shark Tank. He came into Massachusetts one time, and his thing was, you start talking, and then he's like, "Come on up, $1,500. We can teach you all the things." So I got trapped into that one too. And then there's another guy. I think his last name starts with a K. Kiyosaki or something.
Robert Kiyosaki.
I wasted money on. I wasted money on him too. He was in Dallas or something. went there and spent $500, $700 or whatever that was going to watch him. That was a waste. So I've invested a lot of money and wasted a lot of money, to be honest with you, just trying to learn, you know, what I get from you in the 1 month that I wasted with all these people and all this time, you know.
Yeah.
And she's
So
not.
I learned my
and,
lesson now.
Yeah.
and she's not alone. I
No.
mean, you can imagine the millions of dollars,
Hundreds of
millions of dollars.
I know. Yeah, no, listen, if you've got some money, hang on to your money. Your money is what you need to use to invest. And like Anne Marie sounds like, she'd have 10 grand to put down on a lot or something, right? Just if you didn't go.
do.
Yeah, I'm just saying you'd have a little more if you hadn't spent it the way you did. But,
I know, exactly. But you know what? I want to ask you a question.
okay.
Was there ever a time with when you did with the 1031 that you run out of time and not being able to find a property?
Yeah,
And you just end up making a stupid buy or something like that. You just bought something just for the sake of it.
yeah,
But you
no,
won't
I've never made the stupid buy. I described a story where somebody made the stupid buy. They actually bought something from my mom they shouldn't have bought. And I told my mom she shouldn't have bought what she bought, but she still made $500,000 in the end. But it was only because somebody else had made a bigger mistake than she did, to be quite honest. But yeah, no, I have, and it could happen to me again. Like I just tell you, I got two little 1031s. I've got one where I've got, I don't know, I think it's 279 or 299,000. That is the gain from a property. So I have that sitting there. I have to, now within 45 days of that gain, which I think it's probably exactly 30 days from today. So I got 2 more weeks left to identify the property that I'm going to buy. So that's $299. I'm going to pay 25% of that in taxes if I don't put that into something else. So
If you don't
$75,000.
use it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't. Yeah, and I don't need the cash. I got it. I sold 4 houses. I have 2 that other ones I just put the cash and said, okay, I feel a little more comfortable with this cash. The other house I sold for $565,000, and I've got a net check of $391,000. So roughly almost $700,000 between the 2. But I stand to lose $225,000 if I don't spend the money. And but now, am I going to overpay $100,000 to say 225? Probably not. I mean, if I have really good feelings about the property, I might do that. But I mean, it's really, for me, I can't do it. What I would do is, and I've done it in the past, I've been busy like I am now and not been able to find something that I liked. And you got to remember, it's kind of an unsure time. Like Ben doesn't want to buy anything. And like you said, you got money, but everything that's out there for sale doesn't look, I mean, in other words, I think in a few more months, if things get worse, there's going to be some really great deals. And,
that's what I'm that's the same thing I was thinking too.
Right. But that's okay. But if it gets better, that's even better, because what I look for is great deals when times are good. You get great deals while times are good, because there's more money flowing out there. Then people are more speculative. They're more blue sky. Oh, things are just going to keep getting great. And that's really the best time is to buy when things are going up, because if you do hold a little while longer than you should, maybe it'll just go up that much more. But at the same time, everybody else is feeling good and they're willing to take a chance. So to answer your question, if I don't find something really good, or if this offer, I just made an offer last night. I made an offer yesterday. I made an offer on one property for almost $600,000 for one property, and I offered over $1 million for today on another. I offered $1 million, almost $2 million, on another property. 2 days before that, I made another offer for $900,000 on another property, and most of these properties, I'm like in the second position. There's somebody else ahead of me. Some of them, we're still just whittling it down. That's the problem. Sometimes it takes a week or two to beat somebody down to the price you want. And that's kind of what I'm going through right now. But I'm crossing my fingers that I'm going to, this offer that I made, the last two offers that I made, one of roughly $600,000. Yeah, I hope they go through. And well, they don't always do. They don't. They don't. I mean, I thought I was going to. That's the problem. I was telling you guys this before. It's very frustrating to make an offer on a property, and they don't come back and say no. They don't come back and counter, and so you're kind of waiting. You're putting yourself in limbo. You just got to keep looking for another deal. You have to, because what happens is time kills deals, and when you're waiting for somebody to respond back to you, you're wasting time. Because I can tell you, if they don't come back and say yes right away, they're probably going to say no. And while this time's going by, somebody else is going to jump in and offer them more. Because if you're doing your work right, you're offering them less than it's worth. So that's the frustration. You're offering people less than it's worth to make money, and you can't blame them for not taking the offer. But it's still frustrating. It's still frustrating.
Just waiting and not knowing.
But what kind of properties have you been looking at right now?
I have been looking at single. I've just been going around and looking at the houses that are, a lot of grass and, run down, kind of deals is what I've been looking at.
Mm-hmm.
And getting ready to send out my, some letters and stuff to some different places. But I do see quite a few houses. I'm in Charlotte, so I've been going around and I've seen quite a few homes that nobody seems to be, it's not occupied by anyone. It doesn't appear so. So I've been going out and...
Yeah, when a property's not occupied, that's usually a good opportunity. That's really a good opportunity. And, once in a while you get a weird deal. I got one I looked at, and there was a murder-suicide. And house has been sitting empty for a long time. This is in California. And the probate courts, everything's tied up. I've got another one that involves a death. Well, right now, normally somebody dies, you get their property sold in, 3 to 6 months. Well, right now, the court's it's not an essential case. It's not important. That thing is just sitting there. It's on ice, 100% on ice.
You're right.
But anyways, Anne-Marie, I really appreciate you. You've been a great student, and and really diligent studier. And that's one of the most gratifying things is some people, like Chris says, he a lot of times he just watch and absorb. Well, guess what? That's okay. Because a lot of times I tell people, just watch long enough. The question you want to ask is going to be asked anyways. And the questions that you didn't think to ask will also be asked. So you're not only going to get the answer to your questions, you're going to get the answers to 4 or 5 questions you never thought of. So that's the best part of the Q&A. Wouldn't you agree?
Of course, definitely. Definitely. Again, I find your book so resourceful because, if I have a question, I just go in there and I look and I read it on and I said, oh yeah, that is, that's instead of asking you these questions that are in the book.
Yeah.
So I find the book. A lot of times I just refer to the book and I go and I find whatever question I need, and I always tune into you and listen to you intently, take notes. And that's just about what I've been doing now.
That's great. Well, I appreciate it. And you're doing all the right things. And look, even I can tell you myself, I enjoy reading my own book, okay? I read my book because it reminds me to stay on point. Sometimes it's like everybody likes to be reaffirmed that they're doing the right thing. And, but believe me, when you take the time to write a book and you really put your heart in it, I don't know. I'm a businessman. I don't know how to do fluff. I don't know how to do it. Everything is important. Everything in the book is important, but it's as lean as lean as you can make it.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
it's good.
Every page.
Great.
Every page is important.
All right.
Well, I'm glad we got to have this call. I thank you very much.
Thanks, Anne-Marie.
Thank you.
And well, great. Always a pleasure.
Always. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Have a great night. Thanks for taking my call.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you. Bye.
Jose asked, Tom, are there any signs of an overpriced market, inflated? If so, what are they? Were you able to point out any red flags from the last recession before it happened? And did you get burned in the last recession?
No. The last recession I'll say was 2009, and that was the bank, the big bank crisis. And right when that happened, I got burned to a degree. A couple things happened. I had a property and I'm going to tell you guys about it. It's so painful, I still hate talking about it. But I had a property, I had it under contract for $1.9 million, and it's probably worth $6 million right now. And it was probably worth $3 million when I had it under contract. But I had bought so much property on top of that property that I was getting thin. I was pretty thin, but I got to have this. And then the bank, I made the mistake of my bank kept putting things off. They wouldn't give me a yes and wouldn't give me a no. And they actually acted like, oh, yeah, we're going to do it. And then when it got, I said, look, we're getting to the final hour here. They go, oh, we can't do it. And a lot of it was because of the bank crisis. They were having to, this is what they were doing. And this, in hindsight, I know this. I had all the banks that I'd done business. I just borrowed $3 million from Wachovia, all kinds of stuff. And the interest rate went from 5.5% to like 2.5%, almost within 6 months. So all of a sudden, I was saving $90,000 a year interest just on that one loan. That's just one of the loans. I have many, but where I'm going with this is, the banks started soliciting business. Like, what? You want to borrow money? You want me to borrow money? I mean, because I just bought that restaurant. I had other properties. Nobody else had money. The banks weren't loaning anybody money that I could see. And I'm getting solicited. Oh, we want to loan money. And so what they were doing is they said, well, we need a little more information now. Well, all they were really doing is they were getting more information from me to put in their file, because their file was a little too empty. It looked like they were just, because the government's oversight is really horrendous now compared to where it was. And they want what they call mark to market, mark your property to market value. And I even had Wells Fargo, golly, I don't know what they spent. These are loans I've had for years. And they went in, and I don't know how many tens of thousands they spent reappraising my properties to make sure that they were worth.
Wow.
They wanted to know what they're worth. And it's probably because they absorbed Wachovia, but I think the oversight is what made them do it. And, the more, when you own a lot of property, the banks will like to, they do now, it wasn't such a problem before 2009, but they like to look at your leases. They like to say, they want to see that everything's leased and nobody's month to month. They like to know that they feel secure knowing that everybody's in a lease for a long time. It makes them feel cozy, and I understand that. I feel better with the leases that I got too. I do. I do. It is security. So yeah, I did. I lost. I bought 300 and I paid. Let's see. I bought 80 acres. I think for $4,000 an acre. So 320,000. Me and a buddy each put $50,000 down on. This is probably like 1989, something like that. And then we had another crisis back then. And then, a year goes by, and I said, you know what, this property ain't worth what we paid for it. We got hurt. It just, everything got kind of devastated back then. And this in California. And I said, we probably should just hand it back. And I said, and the thing is, here's the other thing. If you lose $50,000, our tax system is kind of screwed. If you make only one investment, you can your capital losses. You can only, like, if you lose $50,000 on a deal, you can only write $3,000 a year off. Okay, so if you never make another investment, it's going to take, you're going to be able to write $3,000 a year off for 17 years to make up that $50,000. But I'm an active real estate investor, so it's not a big deal. If I lose $50,000, I'm going to make $50,000 on something for sure that year, maybe 6 months later. And so I'm going to offset that loss with a gain. And what that means is the loss I can offset with a gain. So if I get a $50,000 profit, I'm not going to have to pay tax on that profit because I have a $50,000 loss to put against it. So you end up recouping some of your money back that way. That's all. But that's how it works. But if you're not an active investor, it's kind of painful. If you're like a one-time investor, you invest and you lose and you get burned and then you never invest again, you might be dead before you use that $3,000 a year up. And it may be $4,000 a year now. But last time I checked, that's what it was, a long time ago. Let's see. Yeah, Gregor, she is a diligent student, and she's about Emery being a professional student. She definitely does have some education. I'll say that. She has, and that's okay. Look, I tell you, not everybody gets education the same way. Some people are very proactive. Others, like Chris was saying, just sit quietly and absorb. And but I can tell you, it's just important to be proactive. You got to educate yourself. And like I say, and like Marie says, she told you, she said, you can get everything just out of the book. Believe me, this is peanuts. I can sell 10,000 of these a month, and it wouldn't be enough money to make me excited. Okay, I do like the fact that people are getting. I like the idea. That's what I'd like my legacy to be, is that I actually help people stumble onto something new and improve their life and make money and send their kids to college and all that sort of thing. As you get older, you care less about money, and it's like maybe you're trying to buy your way to heaven. I don't know. But the bottom line, if there is a heaven, okay. But I hope there is, and I hope I get there. But the bottom line is, and that's why I can tell you can get a great deal of information from books like Jack Welch and some of these, Lee Iacocca, who's dead now, people that did fantastic things in business that were revered for their qualities. Well, when you get old, you got, you don't need any more money. My standard of living hasn't gotten any better. I've been living the same lifestyle since I was probably 30. Okay, since I was 30. I don't waste a lot of money, but I will spend a lot of money on vacations. I'll go to the best resorts. I'll really enjoy myself. I drink good wine, and I those kind of things I do. But I'm not a Rolls Royce guy. I'm not a Mercedes Benz guy, although I've had a Mercedes Benz. But I say I'm too young for a Mercedes Benz, but but I'm not. But again, you make those decisions of what works for you. Yeah, Gregory, welcome to the club. Yeah, I know. Well, I wrote the book, so I remember the book. But sometimes I go, oh, I forgot I wrote that in the book. So you're talking about just getting older and forgetting some of the things here.
Jose asked a good question. He said, it's a pretty common question, but a lot of people might want to know, how do you beat people down for the price? What's the strategy, Tom?
Sure.
There's multiple strategies involved depending on what you're looking at. Is it residential? Is it commercial?
Like right now, let me put it this way. I put the fear in the mind of the seller. I'm offering a price less than somebody else is offering. And the fact that person wants to close after the election, I put the fear in this guy's head. I said, well, and I told the agent, I said, well, just tell let me tell you a couple things I did. Okay. There's beating, and when I say beating the seller down, I haven't met the seller. But I'm going to give messages to the agent that I want him to express to the seller that he represents. And so here's one of the things I did, and this is something that I always do. I say, look, I want you to meet me at my office, okay? He couldn't meet me today at this office. But I said, I own quite a few buildings that are kind of landmark buildings, to be honest, to a degree around here. And I said, you know about this landmark building? He goes, oh, yeah, when I was a kid, I used to go there. I said, well, that's my office. You know about this one? Oh, yeah, you own that? Well, yeah. And I tell him, yeah. I said, that's mine. And you know this? Oh, yeah, I know that. And I might mention a bar or, a restaurant that I own, the building that I own, different things like that. So I say, yeah, I said, look, I own several properties you probably recognize and know. And he knew them all. And then he said, yeah, in fact, this real estate agent, he said, yeah, my dad owned the place next door to that. And I go, okay, great. So, and then I go, now look, let me show you. And I pull open my app on my phone, okay? And then what do? I go, look, I'm going to show you my bank account, and I want you to make sure, because I want you to know, okay? This isn't beating down the seller. This is letting the agent know. The agent doesn't care if a property sells for $900,000 or $1.2 million. He wants the sure thing. And so I open up my app and I'm showing him, yeah, look, and I got like 20 accounts, because that's how many different, these own several properties each. Each has money. Some have a lot, some have not so much. But I went through, and of course I highlight the ones that have hundreds of thousands of dollars in them. And I go, look, you can see I have enough cash here. I can pay cash for the property that you have for sale. But besides that, I have all this 1031 money too. But that's the 1031 money is the money that I want to use. So the entity may change in the force. I said, but what I'm trying to let you know is that I'm the sure bet. I'm the sure bet. I have the cash. I can pay cash out of my pocket. I can pay cash, or I can put a down payment from the money that I have from the 1031 money. And you already know I own all these other properties, and they're almost all paid for, or they are paid for, depending on which ones they are. So this guy knows, okay, you're the real deal. You're going to close it. I know you got the money. And he also understands, and I want him to know that, yeah, I have a 1031. I have a necessity to close this. I have a necessity. I'm incentivized to close this deal, to push off taxes, defer taxes. That also makes him feel good. Then, so I made him realize that I am the biggest, best, sure thing for this property that will close compared to the other contract that's coming in. And now I go the other way. Now I want to beat down my opposition. I say, look, this guy's got a long escrow. He's not serious. He's stalling. He's stalling because he's not a sure thing. He's not a sure thing. He probably doesn't have a 1031. Of course, I don't know the details of his contract. I just know that he's competing against me. But I put every doubt in the mind of my agent that the other contract is garbage. And I give him every reason to think that I'm gold. Okay? And that's a kind of form of beating down the seller, but it's more of a way of just kind of expressing to the seller, and it's not dishonest. It's not, it's manipulative a little bit, but
that's one angle you had on the situation. You find
you find your strengths. You got to find your strengths and find your opposition's weakness and exploit it.
Like today, here's another example of beating somebody down the price, I guess. And we'll see if they accept the offer. We'll keep people updated maybe, but I knew that this property I was mentioning earlier, I know the guy bought it for $400,000. Okay. And he subdivided it into 12 lots.
And he rezoned it. Any road improvements?
Yeah, some road improvements.
Sewer?
So, sewer, electric.
I might buy one of those.
Well, let's talk.
All right. Hey, I don't need you. I know where they're at. You screwed up. You opened your mouth.
So here's the deal though, is I took a buddy out there because we were talking about, doing another Airbnb venture kind of thing. I said, hey, you come out there with me because I know you're looking for one too.
Oh, good.
I'm going to have the first pick, but I want you to get a lot next to me so I know who my neighbor is.
And you can take care of it.
Yeah. And so he's like, hey, let's go. So we go and we wrote up the contract. We went back to the agent's office and I said, look, here's the deal. Here's our offer. And it was probably 20-25% under what the...
You told me that.
What the... Yeah, whatever. So, no, but here's what I said. I said, my offer is contingent upon you accepting both of these offers.
Okay.
On the two lots.
Okay.
And because I knew, doing the math in my head, I knew 2 lots had already sold. And I knew that him taking our offer price on the 2 lots that we wanted to buy.
Are you dealing directly with the owner?
No, with the agent.
Okay. So keep going.
Yeah. So basically, I knew in my mind, if this guy agrees to our price, because I calculated basically maybe, I just estimated, I said, okay, if he sells us each a lot, then he's going to be break even. And everything else that he sells.
So you're doing the math for him.
Yeah.
And see, like right now, here's the other thing. Depending on how you feel about the economy right now, the fact that you're willing to buy right now. Look, some houses under $300,000 are doing really well. Although even houses in the $3 million range are doing well. Apparently, that's what I was told by the title company. But the thing is, the COVID kind of froze things. So everybody that had their money together to buy something, they still had it. They had it. Things froze up. Now, if they lost their job during this time, big executive or there's people that make millions of dollars a year that have jobs that pay that much actually, and it depended on your lifestyle and depended on your job, but you might be shook up. You might be shook up if you lose your job at whatever level you're at. But the fact that he's looking at properties and he's letting them know, I'll buy. I'm going to buy. And I like that you tied the two together. What did you do? Did you do anything to make them feel confident that you're going to close.
I wrote him $1,000 check.
Yeah, well, that helps. Test sincerity with the wallet. That's good.
Put that on the table. My buddy did the same thing. And
did you try to get a feel if there was any other interest, if any other lots were sold?
I know that 2 other lots were sold, but
Really?
here's the deal. Here's what's interesting about this is, so I have 2 things going for me actually in this scenario. One is I've been watching this property pretty closely. It's not like it's on the MLS or anything like that yet. It's kind of like a pre-market sale. And I got in there and the guy even said, he's like, look, we can't even really write up a closing date yet because the improvements are not in. And I said, okay, well, here's the deal. I want to make sure I have some kind of escape clause in my contract to know that I want to see the property as is, how it's going to look whenever I put all that money down on the table and say I want to buy.
How does it look right now today?
Road's
not in.
The road's not in.
Are they going to pave a road?
They're going to pave a road, and they're
ribbon curb. Or?
Yeah, ribbon curb, and they're going to do city water, sewer, electricity.
Right.
At every lot. And here's what's also interesting is other people that may have found this property that didn't do enough digging.
Right. Well, listen, people are uncomfortable buying in that situation a lot of times. They don't necessarily have to be, but if you can get your place in line, not just your place in line, but have an obligation,
right. And that's what I was telling my buddy today. I was like, look, we basically bought ourselves first place in line, our pick of the lot. And we also have an escape clause that basically we'll have 30 days.
But they need to accept your price, correct?
Yeah. So, I mean, we're still in the negotiation stage, but, we bought our place in line. And if it comes out to be, this isn't really going to work out, we can get all of our earnest money back.
Right.
So.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'll tell you a funny story, kind of related. This is on a way bigger level. Remember I told you about a guy who made $7 million, right, on the property in Arizona. Well, the same guy, he's actually a very good friend of my very good friend. And I was staying with my family. We were staying at the Hotel Del Coronado in San Diego. And a big old-fashioned hotel. I mean, it's cool. Looks like it could burn down in a second, but it's big and beautiful. But I'm at the Hotel Del with my family, and he says, go see my buddy. I won't say his name, but he says he lives right there next to the Hotel Del Coronado. Well, you go to the Hotel Del Coronado, there's looks like 8 houses, I remember. And I walked over and knocked on the door, and I said, hey, are you? And he goes, yeah, come on in. And we both have a common friend, and we talked, and his little house there, and this is more than 10 years ago, probably 15 years ago, his house right there was worth $9 million. And the house next to him was worth like $42 million. And that it wasn't that much bigger, but it was bigger. It was a house that the Clintons would hung out in, and for whatever reason, I don't know who owned it. But anyways, that same guy that I met, he says, hey, let me show you my project. And he takes me over to the other end of Coronado Island, and he had bought a square 1 acre, just a square 1 acre property that across the street from him was some sort of underground city thing. I don't know what it was, but it was underground. Nothing could be built on it. So he had this opening. He's directly across from this square 200 by 200 lot. He's looking out through a channel. He's actually looking at the channel that is the San Diego Harbor, okay? So I look out there, and I'm seeing sailboats go by, right? And beautiful. It'll never be obstructed because it's like a giant sewer main, or I don't know what's going underneath, but there's something major going underneath. Never going to build on top. So the buildings are on each side, so it always has a view. The other thing that was really cool is that on his lot, the way the building sat, they stair-stepped it. So like a little bit over the sidewalk, and actually a lot over the sidewalk here. Then the next one was a little bit over the sidewalk. Then the next one was a little bit less. So that you could stick your head out and you could look through the window and you could see it, because, in other words, it's not just a flat building. You're kind of out a little bit. And it was beautiful. It was beautiful that we stair-stepped out. But the point I'm getting at with this is that he is kind of in, not a lottery, but you bought your place in line. So that's what he did. This property has commercial underneath and also a parking garage underneath. Well, on the top has like 12 condos. And so it took so long to get everything through the city. The process is horrendous in San Diego. And so when he started, he did the same thing that Chris is doing, and he had 12 people buy their rights to buy one, and it was all at about, he started at $1.2 million, and then the last one was at $1.5 million. He had all 12 of them sold from $1.2 million to $1.5 million for the apartments on top that have this amazing view. And so he's keeping one for himself, or that's what I understood at the time. Well, by the time he gets these things built, the 3 or 4, I should say, that he kept for himself, he sold the first one for $2.2 million. But there's guys like you that have a right to buy it for 1.2 and 1.5. You know, say maybe 5 of them for in that $1.5 million area. Well, he sells the first one for $2.2 million, then 2.5. He sells a bunch of them for $2.5 million. Well, and then the other people were like just giddy and happy that got their deals. Well, there was one person that didn't exercise their option, that had had a ticket, and so he called them up and says, "Hey man, are you going to exercise this thing and buy your?" And they go, "You know what? We don't really have the money. We're going to let it go." And so they signed off on it, and he sold that one for $2.5 million. Oh, so man. He made an extra $1.2 million.
Well,
and that he didn't even expect to make.
Right, and so even with that,
on top of the $7 million earlier.
Again, and this is, you explain all this in your book really well, and I even learned more as I heard it over and over and over again in the mentorship class. But I'm even thinking, okay, even if this property turns out not what I want it to be, if I make a deal and I have it in my hands,
that's right.
I'm hoping still to make some money with it.
Yeah, it's getting in between what somebody has and what somebody wants. That's the money. You get in between what somebody has and what somebody wants, and you get in between, and you'll make tons of money. And that's what you learn in my book. And I'm going to be in the doghouse if I don't get home. I've already gone about an hour over time. But this is what I do. I enjoy this. I enjoy this as much as I enjoy doing deals. I enjoy sharing, and I enjoy sharing this particularly with everybody here that's been in the mentorship, and all those of you that bought my book. Yeah, get my book. Get my book. This is like a 2-hour broadcast. It's crazy. Time flies.
Yeah, it's good.
But you know what? If you got a passion for this stuff, you enjoy it. You enjoy it. You enjoy the stories. You enjoy the deals. And but so I'm going to call it quits. Thanks, Chris, and thank you, Anne Marie. And look, everyone, we're going to do this every Tuesday and Thursday. We're going to do this 7:00 class, and also I've been doing stuff almost daily. And hey, Keith, I want to hear about that barbershop. We got to make that barbershop happen. So I do want to talk to you about that. I want to hear more about that. Oh, Ellie, hey, you're back. That's great. Hey, Cabdola, that's awesome. Cyrus, I'm glad you're here. Look, I got to get it organized. And listen, I've been so busy. I've been a little bit neglectful. I haven't been in the forums as much in our deal. It's because I'm trying to get something signed. But I guarantee you, when I get something signed, I'm going to have such great stories to share. But so anyways, that's it. Look, but Saturday we're going to do a Zoom meeting. That's the plan. I plan on trying to do a Zoom meeting. Chris, you'll be here, right?
Perhaps my other job might get in the way. But
well, I hope I'll figure it out. Yeah. It's going to be hard. It's going to be suffering. No, I'll make it work. Yeah. But we'll do a Zoom meeting Saturday. Private, and then I can share more details about this stuff that I don't like to throw out in the public. But hopefully I'll be telling you that I got a couple of deals signed and I got this 1031 garbage behind me. I say garbage, it's just a pain in the ass when you have money and no deals, and it's horrible when you have deals and no money. So, but because then you got to cut somebody in. I bet that's okay, or assign them, which is good. It's still, like I say, never get hurt taking a profit. Hey, thanks everyone.
The next class is open for
planning on August 15th. Listen, if you want to get in the class, do it now because I'm about to close it, or I'll just raise the price. But it's $600 or $599. Go to the mentorship, sign up, and if you want, no pressure at all. I don't care, but get the book at a minimum. Yeah. But it'll fast track you, and people that are in here, all these great people that are in here that already took the class, and nobody's complaining and saying they got ripped off. So I think I did okay. So hey, have a great night. I gotta go. Thanks a lot.
Still on.